Hello and welcome to FGC Philosophy. I'm your host, The Philosopher, and this is where we level up inside and outside the virtual arena. We do that by talking about topics and having guests in the show that I think are important and will help us all level up. Today's topic is a little bit more light. We're going to be talking about some of the gaming industry practices and things that are going on. We're going to start with Sony getting the exclusive rights on the PlayStation to Spider-Man on the upcoming Marvel Avengers game. And then we're also going to be talking about some fighting game news with the roundtable that happened recently with a lot of the Japanese developers. And we're also going to be talking about Season 6 of Street Fighter V with the new characters. And we'll be going over the new characters and just talking in general about fighting games and how they can be improved. That and much more. Real quick with me, I guess the first thing I want to get out of the way, because it's the shortest topic, is Patreon. I've been pushing that a lot more because that's been the best way for me to start giving back as well as earning something in the long run. And that's essentially a crowdfunding source where you can do a monthly payment as low as $1 a month, and that goes towards me and basically all the content that I'm making, any of my future ventures. But there's different tiers of it, so you guys can check that out and give me some feedback on what you think would be something that you'd like to do. I really want to focus more on the coaching and personal development side of things. But that aside, thank you to Chris, Jared, and Stacy, my Patreons right now. Thank you guys so much for the support. Greatly appreciate it. Next quick topic is I probably won't have a podcast next week, and that's for a good reason. I'm getting married next Saturday. My co-host Max will be there as well, so he won't be here to do it either. But yeah, so I'm getting married and tying the knot. We've been together for like 5 or 6 years now. Longer, I think 2014. So yeah, it's finally time for that to happen. It's long overdue, but we're getting it done. And then after that, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled program nonetheless. So thank you guys for the nice words, people who've been supporting me. And then the last update, I guess, for me, before I Max, you can kind of jump in on this topic as well, is fighting games. I've been kind of having a lot of fun with new fighting games and old fighting games. I've been doing some new training in Street Fighter, so that's been nice. I also picked up Fantasy Strike and Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, and both of those games are like just, it's so nice and so fun. They're more simplistic, so I can kind of just get into the meat and potatoes of with Power Rangers. It's kind of like building combos, which I normally am very intimidated by, but because I don't have to fight the mechanics of the inputs, I can kind of just figure stuff out, because it seemed pretty simple. But then I fought some people, leveled up, got higher rank, got put in like gold, and then started seeing some wacky combos. I was like, that doesn't make sense. So there's like OTGs and other things in there. And then Fantasy Strike, same thing happened. Climbed through the ranks, and then people started bodying me. And so it's kind of nice to see the level of skill in these simplistic games, that people like have some crazy stuff figured out in these seemingly very simple games. And then obviously UI Goku, I haven't been playing that as much, but when I do, I genuinely enjoy playing the character, and it's nice to see the progress that I have in that game. And then we played some Fantasy Strike like last week, actually. After
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Any fighting games for you that you've been enjoying, whether it's Dragon Ball or anything else?
Well, quick question for you: what rank are you in Fantasy Strike?
I'm like bronze, or no, silver D, because it goes by letters, I believe.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same rank as you.
Yeah,
at least close to. But yeah, I've been playing Fantasy Strike. I actually, funny enough, today I just booted up Sam Show, and I tried out all of the DLC characters, and they are actually like really cool. I really do like Sam Show. Like, I love that game a lot. Kind of wish more people would play it, but I 100% understand why. Netcode and all that. If you don't have good netcode, your game's gonna, kind of be bad. But let's see, Fantasy Strike. And I guess I've been playing SF5 a little bit now.
Yeah, that's right. We just played.
Yeah, we just played some. It's been a really fun learning experience. I think I finally, because my biggest issue with SF5 was honestly just finding a character that I could comfortably play. And now I'm playing Nabuki, and she's almost as close as an anime character as you can get for like Marvel like.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is honestly like pretty good, and it's really helping me teach my footsies and my small confirms. Really, Street Fighter really does help you like learn that kind of stuff. But honestly, Fantasy Strike has been crazy enough. Like I would say like an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 game that I've been playing. That's pretty fun. I've been thinking about like booting that back up. I played some rank of Dragon Ball today, climbed up a little bit, but not too much. But yeah, that's really, I think about it. Yeah. Nothing too crazy, but man, the small games that I have played, like Fantasy Strike, that game is a sleeper.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's cool. And I introduced it to, my younger brother and his friend.
Yeah.
They've been coming. I introduced Fantasy Strike, and my not my younger brother, but his friend got really, he liked it a lot. So I'm hoping this week once we go to our local, if we do our Fantasy Strike tournament, that he'll be in it, because he's all about it.
Which is all right.
And he's like one of those players. I've been actually teaching him Dragon Ball too, so it's been really fun actually seeing him climb up and like leveling up from training. Which is by far one of my favorite things, is teaching somebody how to play something and then actually seeing them
level up. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely, dude. Yeah.
It's one of the most satisfying feelings in the world, for real. But yeah, something small, like kind of thing, because I know we're going to kind of segue into it, that was announced from the fighting game roundtable that was kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Fighting X Slayer?
I know of it, but I don't remember the announcement, but you can tell me.
They put rollback netcode in it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. They said they were going to improve the internet, but they didn't say they were going to do rollback netcode at the time. But yes, I do remember them saying they're going to improve that. So that's actually huge.
So it's actually like out now, like with it. And yeah, that's the pretty crazy part. But so I was looking at Steam reviews of it too, and people are pretty ecstatic about it, which is I'm happy for them. I'm just surprised a game as old as Fighting X Slayer like got rollback. I mean, good for them, honestly. I just hope a lot of other games kind of follow suit.
Yeah, I want to bounce back to this, so I'm going to add a note to remind myself to talk about that. But yes, I think that's something we should delve into when we get into the announcements, because that's a great point. I'm glad you said that, because I hadn't thought about that.
I 100% definitely want to talk about that once we actually get into the topic of the roundtable.
Yep. So before we get into that, one of the topics that's been it's kind of, I think it's settling now, perhaps. I haven't been following it as closely lately, but it was the exclusive from Sony. There's a game coming out called Marvel Avengers. It looks to be almost like a mix of like action RPG meets kind of Ultimate Alliance or X-Men Legends, if you remember that, but like more of a not so much of an isometric view of the game.
Think of it kind of like Monster Hunter 2.
Okay.
A lot of people kind of compare it like that too, because you have a loadout, and you have specific abilities with your loadout, and then you go against small baddies, but then you go up against bosses, and it's all about each person playing their role correctly and stuff like that.
Now, do you know if it's multiplayer or not?
Yeah, it's the whole point of it.
Okay.
It's so that's the really cool part. I think it's a 4-player multiplayer game. Developed by Square Enix, if anybody is wondering. The combat honestly reminds me a lot of FF7 Remake in a lot of ways, where it's very weighty and you've got hit confirms and stuff like that. And everybody has like their own kind of tools. It seems really cool, honestly. I'm very curious on how the game's going to go, but yeah.
So I was reading some comments. I'm sorry. I was looking at the comments from like the Spider-Man thing, but that sounds really exciting actually, because I've been following the game, but I've been so disappointed in some of the Marvel games that like part of me was like, it's probably not going to be that great. And I hate to say that, but I've just been somewhat pessimistic with that. But yeah, it kind of seems. Some people compared it to Destiny, I suppose, a looter shooter type deal.
Yeah, because it does drop loot, and then you pick up the loot, and it's literally like different pieces or different equipment for your character, and it just kind of levels it up. And you play certain set characters. I think there's only like 4. There's Captain, Iron Man,
Hulk, Iron Man, and then
Elastigirl or something. I don't remember.
Khan. Kobla Khan, Miss Marvel name or whatever. Thor supposed to be in it. Miss Marvel, yeah, Miss Marvel. Yeah. But her last name is Khan. I can't remember her first name, but like she's the big hands girl. Yeah,
she's in it too. So what you do is you just choose your character, and as you play and do stuff, like I'm pretty sure your move list is set, but as you play the game and you kill baddies, quote unquote kill, and do whatever, they'll drop loot, and then you equip loot, and then that actually changes your appearance too. So, and yeah, you just kind of like level your character up. However, I don't know if they actually like change your actual like damage stats or anything like that. I'm sure it's a little bit, but yeah, it seems really, really cool, honestly. It does seem really cool, but go ahead and talk about the backlash that's going on.
Yeah, so the big issue right now is that the controversy is that the Spider-Man character is going to be console exclusive to Sony. And a lot of people are pissed off about that because I want to share my opinion in a second about it. But I watch Young Yeah. And I tend to watch him from a neutral standpoint because I don't always agree with what he's saying, but he does give news in the gaming industry. And so his argument is that you're basically locking it's like having Destiny and like locking the hunter behind a console was his argument to the game. And so a lot of people are pissed off about that. But since this is kind of new to you, I want to know your initial impressions about this, and you can let me know what you think about it.
So honestly, I think it is the worst idea because if you think about it, some games have done this in the past actually, and we can take a look at it from a future perspective or from a current perspective, from how it turned out from the past. Do you remember Street Fighter Cross Tekken? Do you remember Mega Man and what were they? The like
old
cats?
Mega Man?
Yeah, and they were console like dependent. Mm-hmm. Like some DLC characters were on the PS3 and some DLC characters were on the Xbox.
Right.
And that obviously became a lot of issues because of course people were very upset. Mm-hmm. If you owned an Xbox and you loved Mega Man, oh well, that sucks. I guess I'm not playing like Mega Man and Cross Tekken.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's a really bad PR move too, because that forces people to just decide not to play your game, to just not want anything to do with your game regardless. I think like console exclusive for games, 100% understand, not completely 100% about it, but I understand it. However, when you have games that are like on every console, and then you only lock certain characters to certain consoles, there's no point. Like, there's no reason to do something like that, other than like being really greedy and hoping that people are going to buy multiple versions of your game.
Oh yeah, I mean, so I agree, and another point too that I wanted to bring up is that people are confused by the rights of Spider-Man because Sony owns the rights to the movie character, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean they own the rights of the video game character.
The video game characters are definitely a lot different.
Yes. Go ahead.
I know he's had his own like thing since, like the Marvel 2 days and stuff, or Marvel 1, in fact. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even when it became a really big issue between Fox and Sony, he was still in every other game that like could have Spider-Man in it, like Marvel Infinite and stuff.
Yeah. So I from my point of view, I think that it is or can be very upsetting because Spider-Man is a very cool character. I think most people like Spider-Man was intended to be the everyman's hero. He's poor. He's kind of insecure a little bit. He gains some confidence. He gets picked on. He's a bully. He's an underdog. But in regards to the exclusive, even though Sony doesn't own the character exclusive for the game, Sony has a lot of wiggle room to make discussions. So they can make these kinds of arrangements and make it beneficial for Square Enix to do something like this. To want to be like, well, you know what? All right, yeah. I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall in the conversation because, like, at what point in the development of the game did they decide to do this? Like, was this from square one? Maybe Sony backed them money very, very early on before the development of the game. If anyone knows in the comments, let me know because I'm curious to know at what point in the developmental phase they decided to let this happen, or if it's something along the way where hey, let's have let me get Spider-Man. I'll give you this much money.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it if it was something like where the movies haven't been nothing Spider-Man wise has been going out lately, and maybe they're just we got to keep. It's corporate. You got to keep, Spider-Man in loop, and it's like, okay, hey, if you put Spider-Man in this game and you keep him only PS4, we're going to give you big boy bucks. Like that's right. That's how it's going to be. And it's like, okay, I guess we'll do it then.
Right. So for my initial impression, my thought is I'm not surprised and I'm not upset. And I also think that I think it's okay for other people to be upset with it. I think there are some people who are kind of overreacting to it. I want to try to elaborate without triggering anybody because, as gamers, we tend to get very upset and very entitled to things. I've talked about this in the past, but we get very entitled to certain things. And it's there's a game coming out, we're excited for it, but they're doing something that we don't like. I think it's perfectly okay to be upset, but the thing is that you're not forced to buy that game. You have to actually just not get the game if they're doing something that's morally against what you believe in, which sucks because I'm watching the gameplay right now. For people who are just listening, I do have some gameplay pulled up so you can actually check out the gameplay of the game because I had never actually watched the gameplay. I just read articles about it and looked it up, but it actually does look legit.
Don't sell this game short. If you are completely against it, vote with your wallet as always. But honestly, I think this game is going to be really, really good. You can tell that they put because the actual developers versus the actual commercial people are two different sides, and you can tell in the early trailers everybody made fun of how it looked. However, I honestly think they've actually put in a lot of polish and a lot of look and feel into the game, and I wouldn't completely dismiss it right off the bat because I think it's honestly this might be a game that people are going to really, really, really enjoy. And I think this is something honestly what people have been looking for a while too.
You kind of had me at co-op. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, it's 4-player co-op, right? 4-player co-op mission mode.
I need to see some of that gameplay.
You can actually upgrade your characters, get different suits and outfits. Even characters I remember seeing stuff with the Hulk. You can get the different outfits for him, the Gray Hulk or the Red Hulk and shit like that, and even some sick ass suits from Iron Man shit too. And you can tell, as you're watching the video, the hits are very clear. Mm-hmm. The visual design is very well done. The sound design is not bad. You can tell that there's a lot, and this is early. By the way, this is early trailer footage. I think, or
what I'm watching right
this
now
might be new, maybe, because they released something like a month or so ago that showed off more stuff, and you might want to take a look at that video because that video actually is really that might be the meat and potatoes that you might want to kind of look at. Each character plays individually very different and very unique to their style, which makes it really, really cool to think about for each person. So that makes you feel as an individual even cooler. And not only that, but this game has room to grow, to add more characters, to add more things where you're like, oh shit, they added, Ghost Rider. They added Iron Fist. Like, holy shit! Like, this is so cool if they did something like that. You know?
So this was uploaded 7 hours ago, so I think this is fairly new.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's a first
I know
impression of the gameplay.
Okay, this is this must be the beta footage then, because they did a closed beta very recently. So
I think it's still going on. I think it's this weekend.
Okay, cool.
But you have to have the pre-order, I believe. So I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know how much this game is. I wouldn't be surprised if it was $60. But I'm honestly gonna be paying a very close eye on this because I genuinely think it's gonna be a good game. And I'm waiting. I'll wait for the reviews to come out before I, do anything. But
they should do a demo. I miss the age of there's still demos that come out, but I wish more demos would come out.
Oh yeah, I guess. Well, if they I think they're doing open beta. I think.
I know there's a beta for the pre-order right now, but maybe they'll do one for the game as well. Ooh, clap it.
Yeah, I think. I definitely think more games should do the demo system.
Yeah,
it's always that was something I severely missed from the old PS3 days and Xbox 360.
And then people listening to the podcast version of this who aren't watching the video, I will post a link to some gameplay and articles that we're referencing as well, so that you guys can check those out. So check the show notes or check the comments if you're listening to the YouTube version. Oh, he's chucking the tank. Interesting. Yeah. So Marvel Ultimate Alliance and Marvel Legends or X-Men Legends were some of my favorite superhero, comic book hero video games. And I one of my biggest regrets was trading in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. I don't remember why I did it, because I was very against trading in my games, and I'm like that now. I don't like to trade in my games because at least I'm not a GameStop unless I'm going to sell it for equal value. Oh, I don't think I traded in a GameStop. I think I sold it online, so I got a good amount for it. But then the price, the game is rare now. The price went up. It's expensive unless it's gone back down. But I love those games. I love being able to play superhero games. The story, usually they do a good job of giving you an interesting story. There's all these characters. There's characters that I've fallen in love with because of Marvel Ultimate Alliance and X-Men Legends, Moon Knight. I started buying his commons. Taskmaster, that's where I first saw Taskmaster, I believe. Black Panther, the first time I saw Black Panther was in Ultimate Alliance 1, I believe.
Taskmaster is the boss in this game, by the way.
Oh, hell yeah.
He looks so sick.
Yeah, Taskmaster is one of my favorite. He's my favorite anti-hero for Marvel, I would say. One of my favorites. His concept is so cool.
I can get with that.
Ooh, that does look
for
nice.
Reference. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time. Always has, always will be.
Oh, so you're probably triggered by this, even though you have a PlayStation.
Well, yeah, even though I have a PS4, I understand how people feel, because if I had an Xbox, I'd be livid. Oh my goodness!
And I was hoping you would be kind of upset about this, because I'm not upset about it, and I need to see that other perspective.
It's just money grubby,
It is, but I understand it because I've been in that environment for so long that I get it, and it's not really it's kind of something I expect, and it doesn't really, because I'm trying to say this without being disrespectful to gamers, because at the end of the day, my personal philosophy is that a video game, unless you're turning it into a career, it's just a video game. It's not something that's going to move your life forward. It's just something to pass the time and have fun with. And now that said, I have tons of games that I've played that have not moved my career forward, that have made me a better person. So I understand the hypocrisy on what I'm saying, but my point is that it's just a video game, and there's more important things going on right now that I feel like it's pretty, it's like a first world problem to be upset about a digital character not being in a game on a certain console. So from my perspective, it's not a huge deal at the end of the day. There's way more important things to worry about. But I do still see why people can be mad, but I just don't feel that,
I also, you could argue the fact too that, they need to pay the bills. I'm sure Sony paid a pretty decent premium to keep Spider-Man as the only character in here. And if you think about it, this extra money goes to the devs, the people who have actually been putting forth effort and all of that into these games.
Yeah, and there's so many different things that we don't know about. If they very early on, Sony early on came in and said, hey, if you can add Spider-Man to this game, because maybe they never planned on adding Spider-Man in the first place, and they were like, hey, add Spider-Man, we'll pay for the developmental fees and everything that you need, but just bring it only to Sony. I don't think that's a big deal, because that wasn't intended to be in the game, versus the game is basically all the way done now. Sony rolls up and is like, yo, let me get Spider-Man though. How about that Spider-Man? That's more to me. Even though it's the same thing, same situation basically from the consumer's point of view. I think it's an entirely different thing when you talk about the developers and actually Sony, because one is like, hey, we're funding this exclusivity project versus, hey, you already made it. Now I want you to screw over Sony or Xbox, Microsoft. I'm not sure if it's coming out on PC or not, but Xbox and maybe Switch, but yeah. So that's completely different to me. So I don't know the context as to what happened behind closed doors. So it's very hard for me to just be like, yo, hey, there's Taskmaster. Yo, like,
yeah.
I'm salty.
No, look at his sword, bro. His sword is actually the coolest shit.
He already looks cooler than the movie version of.
He's got like a plasma sword.
Microsoft might have get it as DLC in the year. No, yeah, we also don't know for sure when it's going to come out. Like if it's going to be completely exclusive or maybe it's a timed exclusive. So we don't know that for sure.
And also, like, okay, fine. If they give Spider-Man as an exclusive, then Xbox and Switch should have their own exclusivity as well.
If they're willing to pay.
Right. And and honestly, this has happened before in games.
Yeah, Soul Calibur.
Where what happens is, especially Soul Calibur. But I can imagine, a couple years down the line or something, they release a definitive version of this game, and lo and behold, it's got all of the characters for all of the games. They're just trying to get their premiums right now, but I can probably bet that over time, they'll just like release all of the characters for all of the games, because that shit doesn't fly too much in this day and age anymore. So I'm sure if people give it enough backlash, especially, something definitely will happen.
Yeah. Here's another thing to think about too, is that the money may not be going directly to this game. There may be future games. Yeah, Taskmaster getting messed up right now. There might be future games, like Insomnia has the Spider-Man game as well, with the new one coming out on PlayStation 5 with Miles Morales. There may be other ventures from Square Enix where like there's something in the future that they might already be funding or something like that. There's so many different ways that this deal could be going down that might benefit Square Enix and the consumer. Hopefully, it's just there's pure speculation. It's just that I don't like to feel one way or the other. I'm fairly neutral. But either way, this game does look pretty cool. I'm curious to see where the co-op aspect of it, because everything I've watched so far, I think this might be the tutorial level. Because I did read that you have to beat the tutorial level first. But hopefully there is a chance for that.
I think this is because what it is it's a mission mode in this game. There's also like different modes that you can do. There's like combat trials and stuff like that. And if you do the combat trials, you get rewarded for doing it. So you go mission by mission.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different scenario every time. So, like I said, kind of like Monster Hunter, where you load in a pre-made like quest or mission, and you boot up with your. And I'm sure you can probably play solo or with friends. Like I'm sure that's probably like what their plans are or what it is with the game. So you can do all of that. Honestly, I mean, if you're looking at the footage right now, this game looks like not bad. It's pretty cool. They made Black Widow actually look like really fucking cool.
Yeah, she's BA.
she looks really cool.
She's one of my least favorite in the movies, but in here she's looking very cool. So I respect it. In the comics and in the cartoons, she's always been so cool, but in the movies, I just feel like she always feels so useless, except for like. I don't know. Hopefully she's better in her movie. I don't know. Yes, exactly. I didn't want to say that, but yes, that's how I feel like she's treated.
I do respect her character 100%. Like she does do a lot of cool, badass stuff, but in terms of how much love the regular heroes get versus her, she's kind of like just not not as much. I mean, I know she's getting her own movie now, but
yeah,
I mean. You can just kind of tell how much love has been put into characters like Cap or Iron Man versus Black Widow. He was
scrapping earlier in this game. His hits do look like
Cap looks
they hurt.
So cool. But yeah, I mean, I genuinely think people are sleeping on this game right now. If you're letting something like that small really like get in the way of looking at this game critically and saying, well. like obviously, yes, the early trailers were very, very shoddy, and like people made. I don't know if you ever saw the memes. People really did make fun of like how the models looked and stuff, and I don't blame them. Honestly, they did look like trash, but you know that's the stuff that they need to get like the game looking the way it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks beautiful, like the lighting, the actual character models. Like, look at this stuff, man. You can't deny that this game doesn't have love in it.
I think the animations are really good too, and the combat looks fun. I've never been like a huge graphics guy personally. Like I will appreciate it when I see good graphics, but like it's always been like animations and mechanics for me. Like and story.
No, absolutely. I'm all about how the game feels and how the game like looks. I'm all about interesting, different, dynamic looks for games too that very clearly represent what they are doing.
I agree. Well, any thoughts from you before we move on to our main topic?
Don't sleep on the game. Pay attention. It might be really cool.
Okay, there you go. September 4th. Look out for it. Okay, so the main topic, we mentioned it briefly before, but one of the things is that's a lot of the Japanese fighting game developers did a roundtable, a digital roundtable where they met and talked and did some announcements as well. And overall, I watched a few different recaps of it because I didn't watch the whole entire thing. I read articles and I have some articles pulled up again in the show notes for you guys. But I thought it was interesting. You know, they talked about several topics, some of the struggles that they were trying to overcome. You know, one of them we already alluded to, which was the online gameplay. I think at least a few different updates for you guys, just so you know who was there. Koei Tecmo was there. You know, they do Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive 6 has another season pass coming out. I played Dead or Alive. I've actually been getting back into it. DLC for me, when you talk about money hungry, I feel like DOA is that. You know, they are that company where they just have so much DLC that I can't stand it, and I haven't bought a single DLC because of how bad it is. So I don't mind complaining about people being money hungry by any means. I feel like DOA is one of those companies that's pushing it for me, but I don't need it to play the game, so I just play the base game. All the characters I like are there. I know we have a new Guilty Gear coming out. SNK. Speaking of SNK, Samurai Spirits, they have a new season 3 passes coming out. They have the Warden from For Honor, which I think is pretty cool. I know some people say he's generic, and I understand that too.
Okay, so I played him today. And let me tell you, he is pretty awesome. I don't care what people say. He actually like plays super duper cool. He has an in-game like quote unquote target combo system, but really it's more like a Rekka system.
Okay.
And it's very simple and it does massive damage. Man, if this guy gets in, he's in. He also has a parry, like a built-in parry for his character. He has armor. He can combo off of his charge, which is just like a 2-3-6 button. It's pretty nuts, and he's like super cool. I love his design. I think he's a wonderful addition to the game, and I don't care if people say he looks basic. Character's cool as fuck.
Sometimes basic characters can be cool, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, he's a knight too. You know, it's just like he's a crusader, man. Like you don't get any more like, you know, medieval than that. So in a game filled with literal like samurais and girls, anime
Ninjas,
girls, anime big waifus, it's a welcome addition that makes me feel really cool to play a character like that. I got bodied by him because my roommate was playing him, and my goodness, my man, he has fake outs for his Rekkas, which is pretty cool.
I appreciate that. Do you have it on your console, or do you have it at all? Like,
I have it on my PS4. Yeah.
Okay, if you bring it, I'll try it out. I kind of want to try the Warden just to like see the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I will play Sam Show any day of the week, man. Sure.
Okay. Cool. Capcom did some announcements with their season 6 stuff. I'll get back to that in just a second because we have more to expand on that with the characters, because they did their own separate thing. So they didn't really talk too much about their stuff at the actual roundtable. Bandai Namco, new character, which I liked, Setsuka from Soul Calibur 4, I believe. Yeah. Soul Calibur 4 was my favorite. Soul Calibur 4 was so good because she wasn't in 5, I don't think. She was an exclusive to 4. There were a couple of characters in that game that were exclusive but were designed by anime artists, I believe. And so it was really cool because they had some really original characters. I think she may have been one of those where an anime artist designed her. But like she has a sword that she sheathes and unsheaths. Her fighting style was very cool, but also kind of technical. So I liked the way she looked, but I never really played her too much because I sucked at her. But seeing her come back, pretty cool. I understand it's supposed to be some other DLC, some free updates and stuff like that from Bandai Namco. Tekken is doing a season 4 where they're not overhauling, but they're adding new moves to every character. I believe they're going to have some new characters, online enhancements, which it didn't say. They didn't say if they're doing rollback netcode. That's actually kind of a side thing as well. We'll circle back to that, but Harada and online netcode, rollback netcode, I don't think he understands what it actually is.
I don't think he really does. Unless, because so I don't know if you watched, but Sejam posted a video very recently. He talked about it on stream, where Harada allegedly says that their rollback netcode works different. So apparently, rollback netcode on Tekken is delay based first, rollback second, rather than rollback first, delay based second. If that makes any sense. So they have the delay base right at the start or in the front ways. Mm-hmm. And then in the background, it rolls back 3 frames. If that makes any sense. Sejam explains it way better than I could. Rollback is not something I can exclusively talk about like him. Mm-hmm. But apparently, according to Harada, delay base is in the front, but they have rollback that's in the back that works in the system, which I don't believe. But I think this man's thinking rollback is actually just delayed frames in the game.
Yeah, I don't believe him. He kind of concerns me in some way. I think he's a talented person, but I feel like the way he acts, I feel like he's a persona. I feel like Harada is a persona, not an actual person. Like when he's in public. Absolutely. But I also think that he's
even on Twitter, bro.
Yeah, no, online, like in social media, all of it, because he's supposed to be that person. I don't think he's a community manager. I don't think that's his title.
He's a director.
He's a creative director. But I when he's presenting himself as the creative director of Bandai Namco or of Tekken, he's always putting on his persona. And I think he's kind of adapted it based off of the feedback. And I think like one of the great feedbacks, I say great, one of the strong feedback things that he got was when he said, don't ask me for shit. And like everyone went wild. And I think he kind of took that as like, now he's going to lean into that even more and even more. And so now he tries to, like, I think he was already that way, but he definitely leaned into it more. And I think it's starting to backfire because you can't always play that role when it's like, hey, I have legitimate concerns about these things like netcode, and you're not really doing anything about it. Let's see here. Guilty Gear Strive is coming. They announced a couple new characters. Both those characters look pretty cool. Leo. And then the samurai dude. I keep forgetting his name.
Vampire Samurai. Nagoriyuki.
Ryuki. I think that's how you say it because it's R-I, not R-Y. R-I-Y. Ryuki.
My man looks so cool.
He looks extra spicy.
Nagoriyuki. I wonder if people are gonna call him something for short. They're gonna call him Nago or Ryuki for short.
Quite possibly.
But yeah, people are pretty upset about Leo because apparently he's super unga bunga in Xrd. But I mean, he looks super cool to me. So
yeah,
he seems like a Yamcha-like character, I guess. If I were to compare it for Dragon Ball.
Leo White thing.
I love his design too. Actually, he looks really cool. I'm all about the like jacket with the fur. He kind of when he spins his I don't know what you would call those weapons, but it reminds me a lot of like Draven.
Draven.
You'll see it too when he starts his super animation. He like spins it around like that too.
He does. It's almost like he's wearing it backwards. Oh, this guy pulled the chair from out of him. Dang, he got bodied by his own ally. What was that? Oh man. I'll links in the description for you guys. Let's get.
Yeah, look at that. He spins that stuff around like it's Draven. But yeah, both characters look really, really cool. Honestly, I'm very excited for Strive. That's a game that I'm more than likely going to play and buy and play day one. Seems like a game that I could get myself into.
I just want to support the game, so I might play it just to like get more people into it and understand it and maybe commentate for it. But I don't see myself like training hardcore in it. But I would like to pick up the Guilty Gear when it actually comes out. Like I'd like to stay up to date with a lot of the fighting games if I'm financially able to. Oh dang! Okay, this character does look kind of insane. Watching him again.
Yeah.
Plus his helmet is super cool.
Guilty Gear has always been really interesting to me, but I think this is the type of Guilty Gear game that I would find myself more interested in playing. It's a lot more slow, but when you get the hits off, you can do easy confirms and combos that are really, really cool and interesting. The other game felt a lot more chaotic and very, very fast. I mean, not saying that Dragon Ball isn't, but I feel like Guilty Gear is just a different breed.
So this is kind of like unrelated but unrelated, but in the political social environment that we're in right now, I think it's like something that I at least want to express is that like being a black guy, sometimes I don't always want to play like a white person or an Asian person. It's not like something that I'm going to be up in arms about, but when there's a cool looking black character, it's kind of nice to be able to have that every now and then, because like he looks very cool. He has I love helmets, so it's sick that he has a helmet. He has like his dreads or his locks. I love the aesthetic of this character, and that makes me very, very excited to have something like this. Again, not necessary, but like just having something that represents what I look like externally sometimes is just very, very satisfying. Because like DOA, I hate Zach. Zach's the only black character in that game, and he is a parody of Dennis Rodman. No joke, that's what he's based off of. And he is a womanizer, and he is ridiculous. Like I hate that character because like he's black, but like he is not cool to me. He's like the worst black character in any video game, fighting game, like history to me. And so it's kind of cool honestly, they do this.
It's nice because you don't get a lot of that representation too much, like in games, and you're seeing it a lot more now. And honestly, it's done very tastefully, I guess is the word.
I think so. Like
Leroy, Phoenix, Barrett. Phoenix from Valorant.
Oh, Valorant. Yeah, Phoenix is sick, dude. I
love Phoenix. I think Barrett is like one of my favorite characters of all time. These are characters that they're not defined by their race, they're defined by their character. Yes. But they are black. And that's not who they are as people. It's just what is of them, I guess is the best way to say it. And it makes that stuff a lot more enjoyable because unfortunately, if you take a look, like especially in video games, the past however many years since the last gen, you really don't get that much representation. It's kind of weird. And I don't know. And if it is, it's kind of stereotyping and it's really sad.
Well, I don't think there's any fighting games developed by a black fighting game player or black developer yet. So it's like usually people make characters based off of where they're from. Like Street Fighter had the whole World Warrior thing. So like they did eventually have DJ, who I thought DJ was cool. As I got older, I think I started questioning.
DJ is a little sus.
Yeah,
I am.
You know,
my man's got the big grin, dude. Now, like,
yeah, I mean, I thought he was cool as a kid because I'm Jamaican, and so like I was like, oh, he's Jamaican. I mean, he has the maracas and he does have the big smile, so it is. But he was legitimately like his fight style was cool. Like he usually wasn't high tier, but like his fight style was cool. His aesthetic. Like I loved his pants. He kind of had like the capoeira pants on actually. So I don't know if he was Brazilian and Jamaican,
but he was a very exotic character.
He was,
to put it best.
I thought he was cool, but yeah, you're right. There's not a lot of like Tekken. I think is one of the most diverse fighting games. Honestly,
I actually love how Tekken does its characters too.
I was very impressed by Shaheen. I'm not Middle Eastern. Oh well, I'm part Indian, but I'm not. Shaheen is the Middle Eastern character in that game. He looks sick. He looks too hard for me to play, but he's cool.
I really like how Tekken represents their characters because not only do they have a specific region to them, but they also speak their native language in game. Everybody does. I think more games should honestly look more towards that because I think that's a genuine good idea because not only does it add more talent from around the globe, but it also adds more flavor to the characters.
Oh, absolutely.
As long as you have subtitles, who cares what they're saying? If their nationality is French, instead of giving them a very shitty stereotypical French accent,
yeah,
or God forbid the Indian characters, like give them their actual native voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree. Let me see. I'm trying to see if there's any other worthwhile announcements that were made there. Because the other thing that I want to talk about is netcode. I want to actually get to that point. Is that they were talking about netcode, and I watched a few other YouTubers and content creators talk about this after the fact, because they were discussing how to overcome netcode. And I don't remember the verbatim conversation, but it's just a lot of people are like, this is already a solved issue, and they're sitting here trying to figure out as if it's not already a solved issue. There's games that are free that have GGPO and have good internet, or games that are $20 that have good internet. And I do want to be understanding to the developers because Tekken is probably a lot more complicated in terms of the programming of the game versus Fantasy Strike or the Power Rangers Battle for the Grid game. But at the same time, it's you didn't prioritize this in the beginning, and now you're kind of shot yourself in the foot, So it's either you didn't prioritize it early enough, and now you screwed yourself over, or you might possibly be too arrogant, and you're not looking at GGPO or other options in terms of how to have good netcode, because it is a solved issue, and there are other people that they could talk to or consult to have that same solution, but for whatever reason, they're not doing it. They're not actually taking the time to do that. And so I want to go back and listen to that conversation because I watched Maximilian. I think Sajam talk about this as well. And they're both like, this is a solved issue. What are you talking about? Skullgirls, Dim's Fighting Herds. I believe KI had good internet. Like you just said, Xkira or EX Fighting Layer, Erika, they're adding it. There's all these places that you can go to get good netcode, and so you have games like Street Fighter, like Tekken, MK. I've heard mixed things. I've heard it's good. I've heard it's bad. So I don't know about MK, but that's not. We're talking about Japanese developers anyway. So to me, it seems kind of weird, and I'd like to know honestly what's going on because. Again, this is solved. I don't get it. Yeah,
no, it's definitely a solved situation. I really do think it's honestly not like a code of honor, but more of a, how can I explain it? I guess, yeah, honor or something where they're sitting there and well, we don't want to say that we're wrong.
Right.
We don't. I don't know, because I think fighting game developers, they don't want to let the community know that they're right a lot of times. I guess developers in general. Really, you barely see that out of developers where they're like, our bad, guys. I think we really messed up. And you know what? You guys are right. Because I guess the second they think they give that power is the second that I guess the people can have the power over them. Yeah.
It's like Adapt said, it's am I out of touch for using delay? No, it's the player's fault. They're wrong. And I feel that is very much the mentality. And I know that mentality exists for sure. I've worked in the game development industry. I've worked for people who are very proud and aren't willing. It's actually kind of weird because there's people who are so narcissistic they don't think that they're wrong. It's not even that they have this mindset. I worked for someone who I'll call the poor man's Peter Molyneux. He had this game is going to be the greatest game ever. It's going to have great online. It's going to have we're looking at GGPO, but just he could not see, he couldn't be objective about his own game. He couldn't sit down and be like, hey, this needs to be improved, And there's people who are like that, and You work for corporations. I've worked for corporations. So, there's people out there who aren't willing to admit that they're wrong, aren't willing to admit they made a mistake, or they're just blind because they're so arrogant to their own ability that they don't realize that this is a thing. There's issues, there's resolutions for the issues that they're having, but they don't even know they have an issue. Really, they can't come to terms with it. So it's very fascinating to see like these bigger companies, after working in that industry, seeing that like I can kind of like guess what some of the issues might be with these people, and usually it's like personality based. I don't know why. I've done podcasts on this. You have to learn to take your L's because that's how you get better. But it seems like game developers, I've only seen one or two game developers, and the best one, they're not even a fighting game developer, is CD Projekt Red. They're willing to actually talk about what the hell is going on in their life, like what's happening in their dev process, and be objective about it. I think early stage Bungie was another good developer. Halo 1, Halo 2, maybe Halo 3-ish Bungie was also very open about things, and it's like you make mistakes. Game developers, creative directors, they're not infallible. You don't have all the answers. If you're trying to do something innovative, that means it's never been done before, which means you're probably going to mess up along the way. But if you talk to the people, sift through all the toxic trolls online, and be like, hey, here's some good feedback, and be willing to take it, because that's another thing. A lot of the game developers that I've come across can't take feedback. They see it as an attack on their self. They see it as an insult rather than objective, constructive criticism. And that's incredibly annoying to me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Honestly, I think the more frustrating part really is the fact that they didn't bring it up at all. They didn't like even reference it. Like nobody even, when they talked about netcode or anything like that, it was literally like the elephant in the room, and they never ever said anything about it. Because, obviously people have been talking about this for ages now, bring netcode to whatever game. I'm still on the bring netcode to Fighter Z, because holy crap, that game would be a 10 out of 10 experience if it had rollback netcode, let me tell you. But it's just weird when you bring up a topic as netcode, you would hope that they would at least cover all of the grounds. But instead, they were very stingy, and they obviously didn't want to talk about it because I think they do know they're wrong. And if they bring up the fact that they are wrong, then people are going to probably, quote unquote, attack them and probably bully them until they change it. But the funniest part to me really is like, sometimes like the small quote unquote slaps on the face that they did too, where it's like, oh yeah, Tekken has improved the netcode. It's like, does it really though? You get to see whether or not somebody is on Wi-Fi. Cool. That's great. But like, this isn't what we've been asking for. This isn't something that we've been, putting up on forums, polling, all of this, where we want something to objectively change and improve the game, because it's not like we hate the game for what it is. We just want the game to be better. That's it. We want the game to be more playable to the people around us, and we want to enjoy the game better. That's all it is.
Absolutely. And one kind of counter argument that Demeko made, which I think is pretty good, is he talked about Mass Effect 3 and the fact that people hated that ending so much that they wound up changing the ending. And I don't think that really got them very far. But yeah, I mean, that is a good point. And that gets into the argument of creative differences versus, objective criticism. Because I think there's certain things like a game's story that can't be wrong. I think you can hate them. I think you can absolutely hate a game or a movie ending and be like, I've been upset about certain movies and game endings. I didn't hate Mass Effect 3's ending. I know that the 3 endings that you got weren't very different in terms of like all the work that you're putting in from 1 to 3. So I understand the frustration. But I don't agree with, like you said before, bullying somebody into something until they change it. And then you feel like I remember people getting mad because I think they added DLC that had like the quote unquote true ending.
Yes, they did.
And like that became a whole debate of like, okay, well then did you make this ending already in mind and you tried to hide it behind DLC, or did the ending before was just really bad and now you're like, haha, just kidding, here's the true ending, even though the original ending was the original ending, and just tried to hide about it? So that creates a whole nother dynamic. So it is like, there's certain things that are objective, like, is your net play good? You can make that objective by testing it out, by looking at the input delay, by getting statistics that can prove how good this is compared to other games in that genre, versus a storyline, which is very subjective and can be very difficult to judge whether it's good or not. I mean, you can get like 10 very good critics and judge it and 1 out of 10 and yada yada yada, but it's still subjective. It still could become a cult classic 10 years from now. All of a sudden people actually love it and think it's a very genius ending because it's so subjective. Culture changes, or like a group of people come across it that didn't like see it when it first came out. So stuff like that is like completely different, but that line does get blurred a lot, to the point to where sometimes things that are subjective are treated objective and they're getting mad about it, and sometimes like people just are trolls and like get angry and feel entitled about things in general. So that's a good point that he brought up, but I wanted to clarify like my view on that is that sometimes things are subjective, sometimes things are objective.
Yeah. It actually, Adapt actually does say a pretty good thing here, where when fighting game developers or any developers release a game, and there are obvious, very like big issues, especially netcode definitely being like the number one thing. If another developer released a game with delay-based netcode, they would get a lot of flack for it. They would honestly, like, a lot of people probably wouldn't play it. Mm-hmm. And if you look at games successibility, you can see that it's really like a blur, because a lot of games, if you look at like KI, has been successful for years and years and years because of rollback netcode. But you can also take a look at something like Tekken, which has had delay-based netcode, and that game has been pretty successful too. Mm-hmm. Like, it has its pros and cons for both, absolutely. But
yeah,
in the end of the day, when you get games like Samurai Showdown, which could have been a fantastic game, mm-hmm. Really just have the worst netcode possible, and then just becomes almost a graveyard.
Yeah,
and it's probably, I don't know if anybody's actually playing the game in Japan or anything like that. If it actually has a decent, I mean, they're getting DLC, they're getting tie-ins, so
it's a well-made game.
Have to play the game,
yeah.
But it's just sad. It's just depressing to see mm-hmm. a game just fall from grace to just because of netcode, and it's crazy that we live in a time like this where honestly servers and netcode aren't the number one priority. Honestly,
yeah, and that's something that I was going to get to, is that like I think Samurai Showdown is a good case study because it was a game that was popular. It had a legacy, but it was so old that it tried to come back out, made a great game, but didn't have good netcode. But you have games like Street Fighter and Tekken that have been relevant for a very long time that I think stay successful because, in part, to their legacy of staying relevant, of being a legacy game, despite the fact that one of the crucial parts of the game isn't done as well as other games, which is their online. But you see, I think that other games are starting to come out. There's been a lot of talk about Project L, or whatever they're calling the Riot fighting game, the people who make League of Legends. You have these games that are coming out that are going to be huge contenders for being popular esports or competitive fighting games. So you have these games, Smash Ultimate Netcode. You have these games that are coming out. Fantasy Strike, I know it's not very popular, but it's just one game that can show how well you can make like online. And I mean, I don't have trouble finding matches, so people are playing it. Power Rangers, I don't have trouble finding matches for that one. The netcode is, I've played on Wi-Fi. Don't judge me, just to test it out.
It's it's not as bad. I mean, look, we can shit on Wi-Fi players all day long.
Sometimes it's the only choice.
Sometimes it really is the only choice. And also, if you do have the internet, most of the time, like, yes. Whatever you say about Ethernet, it is better, yes, subjectively. However, if your internet is good enough to support it, then, like, why not? And I've played, funnily enough, because when I have my PS4, I have it hooked up in my living room. I don't have an Ethernet cord going all the way to my living room from my router, but I have it set up
games
on my PC.
like shooters and MOBAs on Wi-Fi.
Right. And I've played Fantasy Strike on Wi-Fi, and let me tell you, the game runs pretty good. When you, of course, have somebody that also has a good ping, but my internet is not bad, like, genuinely. And if I can have good matches, that means my internet is good. And even the matches that were like 150, 200 ping, they were playable. They were very, very playable. Like, it didn't, like, yes, you felt a little bit, but not to the same degree of playing Wi-Fi DBFZ with 5 frame delay. Like, holy crap. It's unplayable. It's actually just unplayable. Like, you're not playing the same game anymore. You're playing a really shitty, like, who super dashes first plus assist kind of game.
Who gets
the 2H off? Yeah, for real. Like, are you playing
combos?
Yeah, are you playing Team Gohan, Bardock, and Vegito? Good for you, because you're gonna pop off today. So it's crazy. It's crazy in something like that, where I could be. And you know what? Okay, so here's a little story time. When I was living with my parents live in the boonies, like way boonies, where we have satellite internet, or you have internet that is from a like, usually a phone provider, and we literally had, at one point, you could only use 5 gigabytes a month. Okay, that kind of internet. One day, I loved fighting games, but I could not play them online ever. One day, I find somebody streaming and playing Skullgirls, and I'm like, whoa, this game looks really cool. I go online, I play Skullgirls, and I actually match up against that guy. Keep in mind, whenever I played fighting games online, and even when I played League, I had 150, 200 ping, like, at a consistent. When I played Skullgirls, like, I felt lag, but holy crap, was it playable? It was crazy playable. Like, it blew my mind that a fighting game, I could actually play somebody online. And this person was over in Cali, possibly. And it was just mind-blowing to me. And that was rollback netcode. I was able to play with my semi-shitty internet with somebody who had really good internet in California, and we were able to have actual games that didn't have crazy lag and unplayability. Like, if you take a step back and take a look at, like, the smaller people, the people who can't afford to have good internet, it's a godsend. My God, I could never play Dragon Ball when I was at my parents' for the longest time. And when I moved out, the first thing I did was hit ranked and, climb the ranks. And that was like the biggest feeling ever. And I don't know. It's just something crazy to think about in situations like that.
Yeah.
Where you don't know that people have it worse off than you. And when people who don't have a choice, that have shitty internet, a lot of fighting games are literally unplayable. So,
which is a shame, because we're trying, like, you and I and tons of other people in the FGC want people to enjoy fighting games, and it's kind of near impossible to meet in person right now. So if you have a fighting game that doesn't have good netcode, it's kind of impossible to play the game, because you don't have the option to play it online or offline. So it's in the developer's best interest to prioritize netcode, and I want to see Street Fighter with the best netcode it can have. Like, I don't tend to have too many bad issues myself, because my internet's pretty good, and I usually set it to like 4 to 5 bars. Every now and then I get it, but it's few and far between. But I know enough people at various ranks, skill levels, that complain about it to the point to where, like, they don't want to play the game anymore. And that sucks, because I enjoy the game legitimately, offline and online. And there's other games that people have dropped because they're not fun playing online. And that's, that kind of sucks. You know, there's other games out there, other genres that do online just fine. There's other fighting games out there that do online fine. So I think we've harped on it enough, but I definitely think that this is something that's in the best interest of the developers to either swallow their pride and figure it out, or make their games in a way where they anticipate playing online, because this is a huge part of it, and it's probably going to be a huge part of it. No, it's definitely going to be a huge part of gaming for the extension of however long gaming exists. So they have to step it up and like prioritize online first. Like I'm not saying it's easy to make game mechanics, but they have that part down now. They need to figure out how can we make good netcode, then put the game on there. Because I will say, depending on how you prioritize things, it makes it a lot harder to incorporate certain things. So even though it seems like, oh, just add GGPO to Tekken, it's not that simple, because there's so much in the game already existing that if you add something new, it can conflict with the tons of different things, and all of a sudden like certain buttons don't work. Like lots of weird stuff can happen by adding something new into the game that they don't fully know how to utilize, and it might take a while before they figure out the issue, and then it might take an even longer time to figure out how to fix that issue. So there's a lot of issues to that whole thing, but nonetheless,
we've talked about this quite a bit. We are very, very
passionate about it.
Passionate, absolutely. Like it's the new step up for gaming, and it's frustrating not to like that. It's just not happening completely yet.
We want you to do better, guys. But on a lighter-ish note, the Street Fighter announcements, right? Street Fighter did their own announcement on the 5th or something like that, and they showed their roadmap, and they announced 4 out of the 5 new characters. So in case you guys don't know what those new characters are, I'll tell you. You have Dan Hibiki, you have Rose from the Alpha series. She's also in 4. You have Oro from Third Strike, and then you have Akira Kazuma from a game. Schools. Yeah, Rival Schools, which is like a game that's old, like Dreamcast, right?
Look, Sakura's from the Rival Schools, if anybody didn't know. So
yes, yeah, and then because it's in the same universe actually from Street Fighter, because like Sakura's storyline, she's all like obsessed with Ryu and gets trained by Dan Hibiki. People don't know that she was trained by Dan Hibiki, and I think maybe 2 other people. So they have a relationship together. Dan's been in the game since season 1 in a way. He just wasn't playable.
Yeah.
Like his likeness, his personality was in the game, I'll say. But yeah, I'm not surprised by Dan being in the game. Well,
I'm glad he is.
Yeah, I'm glad he's in the game. Of all the characters on this list, he's probably my most excited character, just because fighting games are not just supposed to be competitive, they're supposed to be fun. And I think Dan adds some fun to the game.
Yeah, I think when you're a game developer for a fighting game, you don't want to objectively look at what's the next cool competitive character we can make. I think you should be more looking at what's an interesting, unique design that we can go for that can add to the roster of our game, make it interesting, more interesting.
I agree. I think Akira, I feel like I'm saying her name wrong. I think they pronounce it differently.
No, I think it's Akira.
Okay. I think she's going to add the most variety, because I went back, and I'll pull up some gameplay for you guys, actually. I'll pull up some Rival Schools gameplay. But I went back and watched Rival Schools, and I was like, what the heck is happening in this? Because like you have these weird like sky combos and stuff, and I'm just like, okay. Wait, what? Oh, okay, I got confused. There was like Tekken there for a second. But yeah, I think that game is going to be fun. I played it a long time ago, but I was a button masher, so I didn't really know much about the game. But going back and watching it and seeing it, I think she's going to add some flavor. She reminds me of Lucia a little bit, in the sense that she has like these interesting leg combos and tatsus and stuff like that. Younger, like schoolgirl looking character. These are like all, I think, literally rival schools that fight each other, kind of like the whole anime trope where, they're from different schools and they're going to fight each other and yada, yada, yada. You have like the baseball player, I think a soccer player, boxing. Boom Man? Who was that? See, another weird looking black guy that like makes me look weird. Like, oh, KOF. KOF had the guy's name was Butt. Butt. Like, he was a cool character. He was like a black guy with a pompadour, but just like, I don't know. It's just maybe I'm looking at things where I don't need to be looking at things. But anyways, I'm going to fast forward the gameplay for you guys so that we can watch this gameplay. But yeah, I think she's going to be really cool. Rose, I never liked Rose, so I'm not really excited for her because I thought she was very annoying. She was like a keep away character, projectile. She had her weird ribbon thing where she would like throw her ribbons at you. I'm not surprised because Manat was in here, and I know a lot of people were like, "Well, Manat's in there. They probably aren't going to put her master in there," but
here she is,
which is interesting
she
because
was in the story.
Actually, other than Akira, all three characters are like masters or I guess teachers. Because Oro, I don't remember, Oro kind of helped train Ryu. Because like Oro is like one of the strongest characters in Street Fighter lore. That's like playable Street Fighter lore. Like him and Dhalsim are like stupid strong. And then also Dan Hibiki trained Sakura, from what I understand. So also that character as well. So this is like I'm wondering about character 5. Me personally, I just wanted Dudley. And I think Fei Long would have been cool. I wouldn't have played Fei Long probably, but I think he's just a cool character, and you always need a Bruce Lee character in your fighting game. And Street Fighter 5 is like the only fighting game right now where you don't have that Bruce Lee character. You got Maxi in Soul Calibur. You got Law in Tekken. I don't know about you have Jan Lee in DOA. Samurai Showdown? Does Samurai Showdown have a
no, unfortunately.
I don't consider that one of the big games, but at the same time, he's not in that game. But yeah, Street Fighter has a character like that already and didn't put it in. And I'm just like, come on, guy, put him in. He's a stable character. He's been there since 2. He's a very cool character. He has Rekkas. I think you can like freshen him up and add him to this, but I doubt he's going to be in it. But I'm wondering who that 5th slot is going to be. You know, I think it might either be a new character or like something pretty obscure, maybe a guest character.
Personally, this is just like my personal bias. I would love for them to put Sean in the game, but
I think everyone wants Sean.
Sean is so cool.
I wouldn't be upset with Sean.
I love Third Strike Sean, but like, you know, don't like have him in the same tier as Third Strike. You know, give him the Shoryu dunk, man. Give him the Shoryu dunk. That shit's cool.
Yeah, you could do a lot of cool stuff with him. I would not be upset with Sean who was in it, honestly.
Make him a Super Rushdown Rekka or a Super Rushdown Shoto character. Like that sounds really neat.
I think you could have like him be somewhat like similar moves to Laura because he is her sister, or he is her brother. Right. So you could have some moves inspired by her, but then also have that Shoto play style as well, because he always had like a double-fisted uppercut. Yo, that was a weird reflection in that. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know if
that uppercut is so jank too, actually. The double-fisted uppercut, that and Shoryu Cannon. What are you looking? Is that?
Look at that reflection. I'm sorry, people listening to the podcast, you won't understand, but there's a reflection in the helmet of this guy. But the helmet is behind her. The helmet is behind her. How is the helmet reflecting the front of her face? I'm sorry, that triggered me a little bit. I digress.
Was this like a Dreamcast game?
I believe it was Dreamcast.
Okay. Maybe that makes more sense.
Yeah, they didn't think about that. Caught me off guard.
But yeah, I think they had some really good choices all around. I think it was the right choice. I'm actually pretty pumped for Oro. I think Oro is going to be really sick. He sounds like a super duper cool character to be in the game.
He's my least favorite character to come into this game. I hated him.
Really? That's funny. I understand that. He's got some insane unblockable setups in like Third Strike and shit. So
yeah, he was I had a friend that was very annoying that played him. Honestly, he's ugly. It's very superficial of me. I'm just gonna say it. He's ugly. I don't like his character aesthetic. He does not. A lot of people think he has one arm. He doesn't. He just holds back. He's Rock Lee status. Like, hey, I'm so strong. I need to limit myself for your sake. So he does have 2 arms. You can actually see his second arm in the picture.
Yeah, I hope. I honestly hope they give him some sort of like super cool anime thing where he just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna use 2 hands and just kind of pop off.
Yeah, that's like his V trigger. He was very anime because he had wall bounces and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I think overall, I think very good choices to show off all of the characters, what people can look forward to, because now it's going to keep people talking about it for a while, and especially with leaving the last character up to speculation. What is it? They're not gonna show off that character, or that character won't come out till like February 2021. I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that so? Here's the. Let me pull this up for you guys. Here is the schedule, and I'll say it out loud as well. But Dan comes out winter of 2020, so he's probably not coming out until like December, or maybe probably December. I'm guessing he's going to come out like mid-December, like the 15th, 14th, something like that. Rose comes out spring 21, probably like April. Is what I'm guessing, April and May. A lot of stuff happens in May or April, so they probably are going to release a Capcom game. Maybe do some sort of crossover event with like Monster Hunter or something else. Have Rose. They might not have Rose in that game, but they'll probably also piggyback off of that. Summer of 21 has Oro and Akira, and that's not saying they're going to come out in the same time frame. It's just summer of 21, which is probably like early summer and late summer for Akira. And then the new character is fall of 2021. So a lot of people are speculating like this wasn't. This is all rushed because Dan's the only character where there's gameplay of him. Dan's gameplay.
Very alpha.
Yeah, Dan's gameplay is very alpha. The video is very alpha. Like someone took a TV and recorded it with like an old camcorder video. Like I don't get that. It's like some weird.
It seems like they just made the model and like just finished fleshing it out and is testing out some of the mechanics of the character.
Yeah,
like you could tell it was very, very early design, which honestly, it's impressive enough because you can tell that they're actually. You could just tell from those early designs that they're putting forth effort to add character.
Yeah, and I'll pull up some gameplay for you guys watching it live, so you can check that out. But yeah, it's you can see the quality of the footage itself is like the issue that I'm having. But the actual gameplay, they do like a side-by-side comparison of I think Alpha and 5, and then I think they also do 4 later on. But yeah, I'm excited for him. Hopefully we get more gameplay. I don't understand some of the things that he's doing though. He's always been a weird character, but I like his Tatsu. His Tatsu has always been like the sickest Tatsu in the game to me. I don't know if anyone else agrees, but plus he wears a pink gi. Like his default color is pink. I always play pink outfits if I can, so I'm very biased.
Pink is sick. Wardorf.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the Oro V trigger would be. I have to go back and like play Third Strike and look at him because he had some weird like wall bounce stuff where his super. I think we talked about the fact that his V trigger might be where he uses both of his arms and like kind of powers up and maybe is faster or stronger or something like that. I'm guessing he gets an install. One of his is probably going to be an install where he gets better mobility or more damage or something like that because he can't. That makes sense for his character.
Mm-hmm. I can see one of them being like where he summons his rocks and like you press the trigger to summon the rocks or something.
Or the turtle. Oh, there's also supposed to be new gameplay mechanics in Street Fighter. They announced that, and I don't know exactly what that is. People are speculating new supers. Yeah,
I would hope new supers because I think that's the coolest way to add something new. Either that or ultra meters, bro. Ultra meters would be kind of interesting.
Oh man, yeah, like the comeback, the revenge meter.
Yeah,
I think is what they called it.
Mechanic of ultras in Street Fighter 4. I liked I like the idea of the difference between ultras and supers from Street Fighter 4. I was a fan of that, but I can definitely see the game.
Maybe they'll put FADCs back in it. Maybe they'll put focus attacks in the game again. You know what? Season 6, we're going crazy. Let's get focus attacks in here. I think I'm ready for focus attacks now. I was not ready for focus attacks in Street Fighter 4, but I think I'm ready because those things were complicated. I don't know if people remember focus attacks. People who
cancels.
Yeah, FADC cancels. I had started figuring them out towards the tail end because I got competitive towards like midway through Ultra, and I was trying to learn like Josh and Mark and a few other people. Domenico, you were there. You were playing Smash mostly, but you were there trying to figure out how to like what an FADC cancel was and how to utilize it, why to utilize it. It just was so much for me.
I haven't tried it, but Well, I have way back before I even like really started playing fighting games, but FADC or Shoryuken FADC canceling seemed like the most difficult thing to me personally.
It was hard.
How do people do this? And they do this regularly. Like, oh, it's blocked, FADC cancel. Like, what? You reacted to that? What? That's nuts.
I mean, that's basically a Roman cancel.
Yeah, it's.
But yeah, I agree with you.
But like you first hit, you notice like, oh, it's blocked, or oh, it gets hit. Like, and then I mean, I guess you regardless FADC cancel. But if it was blocked, usually they FAD cancel backwards, don't they? Or do they go forwards?
You can pick. You can backdash or you can forward dash. Also, if it hits, you can FADC cancel forward dash into like a DP or something like that, whatever you're doing.
Right.
Like
what I'm saying is, if it's blocked, people usually go backwards, or do they actually go frontwards?
There's different options, because like say you block it, from what I remember, because when you focus attack, you also have like a hit armor unless you red focus attack cancel. So you could just focus attack cancel, and then they try to like punish you. You armor through it, and then you hit them, and you like either you knock them down, or if you get level 3 focus attack, you can get a crumple state. So there's kind of that mind game where like now, or maybe like you focus attack cancel, and they're going to backdash, so you dash after them. So it's like you have the option to choose. It depends on the situation. It's very situational, is the answer to your question. Wait, what the heck was that? Yeah, there's that. Oh, what the heck? Okay, so they have a focus. Yeah. I was going to make another point, but I forgot what it was now. Dude, Dan is so weird looking. He has a weird like tiger knee tattoo. Okay, he's had that for a while though. Man. Oh, I was going to say though, one last thing is that like a lot of people complain about games getting more and more simple, right? And that is a big issue. But what I think the issue ultimately lies is that fighting game developers do a very poor job most often of teaching their players how to play the game. So the only option they feel they have right now is to make the game simpler for people to pick up, because they do such a poor job of teaching them how to play the game. They don't turn the process, the art of learning a fighting game, into a game in itself. And that's part of the issue, is that game developers, on average, Skullgirls, I think they had a very in-depth tutorial, but there's this opportunity to turn learning fighting game mechanics, like fighting game tactics, actual competitive fighting game, where you're just playing the strategy of the game, learning the different characters, not just combo trials, like actually understanding how to play your character. There's scenarios that could be created and turned into a game, but they're not doing that. And so their only other option is to make the game simple, which is like, I don't mind that, but I would like to see more of an effort on helping players learn to play the game, because we've established that fighting games are, at a certain point, they're going to get technical, challenging, and there's strategy to it. And just teaching people how to do trials and the bare basics of like how to play the character just doesn't help you develop the skills that you need. Because part of it is comprehension and learning, but the other part of it is actual skill development. And it's honestly, for a lot of players, very boring to just sit there and do the same thing over and over again without any sort of, you leveled up, or here's an item. Like any other game, you are literally doing the same thing over and over and over again, but you see experience bar level up, you see your armor, you see your stats go up, you see all this stuff that happens. But in fighting games, you don't get that. You just get like, I finally noticed that I can land this hit confirm like 50% of the time, like from 25. It's like this hard grind where it's like, why am I doing this? What am I getting out of it? Like, it's very satisfying, but man, like I could probably play another game where it feels more rewarding, because honestly, a lot of people play games or lean towards games because they give you some sense of gratification, some sense of significance or accomplishment. And fighting games takes a long time, if you don't have that mentality, to feel accomplished. Not everyone's going to be like, hey, I can finally land that Tenko combo once. They're going to be like, I tried this 20 times. I can't get it. I'm done. I dropped Karine from season 1 until like messing with her a little bit now, finally, because I feel like I'm competent enough after like however many years to finally play this character. So I think fighting games ultimately, like, they should have talked about this in the roundtable, but making it more engaging to learn and actually develop the skills in the game. That's where I'll leave that.
I guess I can put in my 2 cents on that. I think obviously making a training mode that people will actually care about and like is tough. Making a training or tutorial is tough in and of itself because you don't know whether or not the new people are going to like it or the veterans are going to like it. However, what you can do is you can make it interactive. You can make it not monotonous. You can make it something that keeps the player engaged and puts them into situations where they're actively paying attention. Where, you can... Don't give them the shitty story tutorials. Those ones always kind of suck. But if you put them in scenarios where the enemy is countering a specific tactic of yours and you're forced to learn that tactic or learn around that tactic, it makes it a lot more interesting of a fighting game. And then when you beat them, you're like, hell yeah, bro. I got past that. I understand what they're doing to counter my tactic. Something I also want to put in that I don't think a lot of fighting games put in. Personally, this is something I would absolutely want. I think more games in training mode should have a slowdown feature. Holy crap. I cannot fathom how much I would just enjoy a literal, just turn the speed down by make it 0.75.
Smash does this.
You know what else does this? Unist has a slowdown feature.
You're right.
God damn, is it so useful? Oh, I've been asking for it for so long. Okay, look, I am not going to learn full speed. Look, we've had this conversation with music theory and how I've learned how to play music. You don't go at it full speed. You take your time and you get the rhythm down. But what's important is that you get the rhythm down and you understand how it works. And then you slowly but surely work up to the real time effort towards it. You're not immediately playing it at full BPM and, doing the best at it. If I'm doing a combo, especially something that has to do with loops that have tight timing, I'm going to be struggling more on getting that timing down rather than the actual rhythm that's based on the combo or how to even start up the combo. I'm more focused on, damn it, why can't I get this confirmed? And, if you're just allowed to slow down the game by just a small amount, just not even half speed, just a little bit smaller, you could just change so much to how people can learn the game. It allows them to take the time to learn what they should be doing rather than forcing them to learn extremely hard links right off the bat, where it's if you hit light click, you need to buffer out Shoryu immediately. That's what you should be doing. If you hit that button or if that button confirms, and shoot, man, I can't figure this out. How fast am I supposed to do this?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree because there's two different aspects of learning a combo or something. You have the actual execution of it, which some people struggle with, and then you also have the timing / rhythm of the combo. And both of those things by themselves are hard. But when you're trying to put them together, for me, when I'm trying to learn a new combo that isn't isn't a natural movement to me, my fingers go stupid and my brain goes dead. I forget the combo, or my hands are what am I supposed to do with this? What are you talking about? Why are my hands trying to speak Arabic right now and my brain's trying to speak Swahili? It doesn't register in my head. And because I'm trying to do it, I'm trying to find the timing because I have no feedback. I talked about this with Street Fighter trials. They don't let you know how to do the combo. Kareen's combos, I'm just now figuring out with Kareen. She has certain combos where you have to do it frame perfect, right? And then you have to do the follow-up frame perfect, it seems like. But they don't explain to you how to execute that. And there's basically two versions of a special. There's a regular version, and then there's the just frame version, which I don't think is even on the command list. They don't explain it. They don't give you any information on it, and
like a small subtitle, like
they don't give you very much to work on or how to actually execute it, let alone how to execute in a combo, because it feels very different from any other cancel I've done in Street Fighter. So it feels incredibly different. The challenge isn't actually the execution; it's the timing of it, because I've realized that I'm not doing it. Like, I can get the combo, I can get the just frame Tenko, but I don't know when I'm supposed to do it. So, like, if you can give me a scenario where, hey, I'm going to freeze frame at the timing. So here's what the animation is going to look like. Here's like what the rhythm looks like. And then I'm going to like either slow it down so that you can like, or light it up, or like some sort of feedback where it's like, hey, here's when you can do the combo, rather than trying to make it mysterious. Like, it doesn't have to be that anymore. If you want to do that, there's other fighting games where that's there. So I'd love to see where more games are actually trying to explain to you how to find the timing of a combo and how to execute the combo as well. And like, I see them trying. So I'm not saying they're not trying. It's just like, there are ways out there that you can teach people how to do this, and I'd love to see more of that. So yeah, that's a great point. Slowing it down, absolutely.
Slowing down the game, like small things like that, right? Like, it's very overlooked. There's very, very small things that I think, rather than just simplifying the game, I think you should be looking at giving your players more tools to work with to understand the game better. Look, frame data is going to be known. Okay, if you're not going to show frame data, if you're not going to show hitboxes, people are going to show it anyways through third party. There's no getting behind it. Okay, just be truthful to how, like, what your characters are doing, or what is going on with these certain animations, because honestly, the people that care the most about the game are the people that's going to be appreciating that the most, and they're going to be playing the game because of that stuff. It's crazy because I haven't talked about this game too much, but a lot of the stuff that we've talked about, Rivals of Aether. I don't know if you've ever played this or ever played it.
Yeah, it's a sick game.
It has the best tutorial system, one of the best tutorial systems I have ever played, that specifically tells you very specific. It goes through each character individually, and it makes it very interactive, and it tells you certain text that you can do with the characters that they have purposely input. And, it's like, oh, well, you can actually do this, and you can get like a little extra range to your jump or something like that.
Hey.
And they even teach you like how to wave dash and stuff like that, like in a actual interactive way. And not only that, but their training mode is superb. They have hitboxes, they have frame data, they have slowdown, they have recording for AIs and different ways that you can record it. They have ways that you can set how your opponent DIs. It's actually incredible. And people don't talk about it too much, but I think that is, if you're looking at a game that does a fantastic tutorial that can keep the player interested and motivated to play more of the game, that's it. That's what you should be looking at as an example.
Well, check out Rivals of Aether. I've played it, but I don't think I own it. I'm probably gonna take a look at that now. I'll add it to my wish list when it goes on sale. I'll probably scoop it up, or I think it's like $20.
Switch Definitive Edition. It's coming out soon.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that game. I love that game. If anyone doesn't know, it's like a 2D, not 2.5D Smash Bros. Game with anthropomorphic creatures that have cool powers. So it's very sprite art, I guess I would say, 16-bit, 18-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit characters. It's very, very cool. It plays very smooth. If you like this, it's a platform fighter like Smash, so you have to knock them off the stage to kill them, I believe.
Yes, it's to the point of platform fighter. It takes a lot of the cool stuff from Smash, but it goes a lot more individual based. Sure, you'll see characters that might seem the same. They have a sword fighter character that has a tipper, very similar to Mark, but that character is very unique to itself and has a lot more cool, distinct properties that make him cool. But I genuinely I cannot wait for that Switch version to come out, because once it does, I think the game's going to blow up. At least I hope so. I'm praying for that. and then I'll probably be playing the game a lot more because I personally think that game is really cool, but I haven't been playing it because the player base is kind of small, and honestly, there's not a lot of people, especially in our area, that play the game too much. So
true story. Plus, I think it's mostly on PC. Like that's where everyone has it.
Yeah,
so
it's a PC,
only my
PS4, Xbox, which
only
is
Neil thinks it's PC.
Yeah, and that's the tough part, right? The second's on Switch, and then second it's available for everyone. And that's one of the games that should be meant to be played on a GameCube controller, to be honest.
I'm going to start bringing my GameCube controller because I honestly like that Smash is like, we have at least one Smash set up there sometimes. I like Smash. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Smash. But like, I like the game. It's fun. Like sometimes I don't want to play, I don't want to do quarter circles and DPs. I just want to like do side B. Like I just do. I like it. That's what I think that's one of the reasons I like Power Rangers and Fantasy Strike for that reason. But anyways, I think I'm gonna stay here and stick around, but I want to end the podcast officially. For people who are listening to this live, feel free to stick around. I'm gonna chat, probably play some leisurely single player or co-op games in just a little bit. But yeah, any closing statements from you, Max? Also, where can they find you if you have any content?
Twitter, YouTube, twitch.com.tv/megamaxstar. That's where you can find me. And then also we have a channel that's, I think it's up now, that we're going to be working on adding VODs of our weeklies, our weekly tournaments from Mighty Moto Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in tune for that because I guess I'm doing partially some of the editing for it, and I need to motivate myself for it. So guys, subscribe to it and show me that you guys really want to see that content. That will give me enough motivation to actually like, okay, let's get this out here, because honestly, we have a lot of really good stuff from that, and I want to show a lot of our clips. A lot of times I was actually like crying from laughter, to be honest, from a lot of the points of the of some of the weeklies. So, and I want to share that experience with a lot of other people.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
is that the what is the YouTube Kzoo?
Wait, hold on. This isn't it. This is the wrong one. I lied. I played myself. That's the Mighty Moto Monday. Yo, I got some sick transitions here. Okay. Anyway, I'll pull it up for you guys in just a second. But yes, absolutely. Kzoo FGC on YouTube should just bring it right on up.
Pay attention to that. Please subscribe to it. Show the love, and we will be uploading VODs from Street Fighter and DBFC onto there. And then once locals starts getting back up, and more of our actual in-house streaming, you'll be seeing a lot more content, more than likely Tekken, any current games that come out, probably Fantasy Strike if we get to the point of streaming too. So keep a lookout.
Yeah, we just launched this and made it public. I've been uploading some of the Street Fighter tournaments. I have a few more to put up there. But yeah, and I'm trying to keep it organized and actually make it easy for people to check out. But, one of the reasons that we did this in the first place, one is to actually showcase some of the players, but also so that we can do match analysis so people who want to watch their VODs have the ability to do so, because YouTube is one of the best ways to watch VODs, honestly. Twitch, I would not want to make anybody go through that fate. So one of the things, if you don't know, is you can actually do frame by frame on this, I believe, if it's loaded with the arrow keys. So you can go frame by frame. You can do like 5-second skips.
How do you do frame by frame?
Frame by frame is a period and comma.
There you go.
So
thank you. I actually didn't remember, so thank you for reminding me.
Yes, so it's just a great tool to be able to watch your own VODs. Plus, I'm trying to stream match analysis, and I do not want to use the Twitch VODs to do match analysis.
Yeah, no, especially, because I want to do match analysis for Dragon Ball too. Mm-hmm. God forbid that is on the Twitch client.
Yeah, so that's that. I'll put a link in the description or the comments for you guys to be able to check that out if you want to do that. More encouragement to get onto our tournaments and compete. Plus, we do the match arenas as well. The match arena is live. I have all the information in the Discord. That's the best way to get the links for that, but that way you can donate towards the prize pools. For me, I'll put my social media stuff in in the show notes as well. The only thing I was going to mention is KZUFGC, so thank you for bringing it up. I greatly appreciate it. That gave me time to actually Google it and pull it up. But yeah, that's all I have to add. You know, we're just trying to grow the scene online and offline. We do have weekly tournaments on Monday for Dragon Ball and for Street Fighter. Dragon Ball is on PC. This is the most convenient way that we can do it. So if you play on PC or if you want to do our Street Fighter tournaments, if you have a good connection, please feel free to join it. Our Discord information, I'll have links to all that as well. If you're watching it live, the link is in the down below. If you're watching this pre-recorded, then it'll be in the description for you guys. But thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you're being here live, I'll be here back in just a second. I'm going to take a quick break. Otherwise, thank you guys so much. And as always, I will see you all in the next one.